Hi, I'm Wendy Hilton. I am one of the owners of Hip Homeschool Moms, and I wanted to talk to you a few minutes today about our top 10 homeschool do's and don'ts. I'll refer to my list a little bit so I don't leave one out, and I'll start with our 5 don'ts, and then we'll move on to 5 do's. And these are pretty simple, so whether you already homeschool or whether you are a brand new homeschooler or even somebody who's considering it, these are all things that you might want to think about. And hopefully these things will make you feel a little bit more comfortable because you'll see that they're really very doable. It's not this difficult list of things you'd better not do or you'll ruin your child for life or anything like that. I think maybe this will encourage you to just go over some of these things and give yourself something to think about that hopefully will make you feel a little bit better and help you understand that you really can do this. It's not a big, scary task to homeschool. So the first don't is don't feel like a failure if you have to ask for help. The truth is that most of us at some time or another will need help. You may need help getting started, and we're here to help you with that. We've got information and links to articles. We've got our Hip Homeschool Moms Facebook community. There are lots of ways that we try to kind of be here for you and share information and resources and things like that. But you can also ask for help for friends or relatives if you need to. Maybe you've got a local homeschool support group that you can find. Check with a local library or check with homeschooling friends and see if they can direct you to a good local support group. And sometimes people will trade out teaching subjects. They'll trade out looking after each other's children, babysitting kinds of things, that sort of stuff. And sometimes they even trade out helping teach subjects. If there's a subject that you don't really want to teach or don't feel good at, that another mom might be able to handle that for you or whatever. So don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it. And if nothing else, at least maybe people can give you support and help you talk through problems and things like that. And you'll be surprised sometimes how much even just being able to do that is really useful. Our second don't is don't worry about messing up. I think so many times those of us who homeschool, or especially those who are thinking about homeschooling, we just think, oh no, I am going to ruin my children for life. I won't teach them what they need to know. They'll never be as good or as smart or whatever as kids who go to public school or private school. And none of those things are true, because guess what? The teachers in school systems, the teachers in public schools and private schools are people just like you are. They're going to mess up sometimes, just like you will. And it's okay. It's all right. Actually, that's part of life. We're not perfect. Parents are going to mess up. Teachers are going to mess up. Our kids will get through it. And here's the great thing. You as a parent are much more concerned about the outcome than even the best school teacher in the whole world could possibly be, because your child is your child. So a huge part of the success of homeschooled students is just how much the parent cares and how much, how much the parent is willing to help that child and work to have a good outcome. So you can do it. You can do it if you just care about the outcome, and obviously you do, or you wouldn't even be looking up resources and information. And besides that, you've taught your child already before school even starts for years and years. And so you can handle it. You can do this too. Number 3, don't be fooled into thinking that a public or private school education doesn't have gaps. We all think, oh, what if I'm not teaching my child everything she would have learned in public school or everything he would have learned in private school? There is no school anywhere that is going to teach your child every single thing that child will ever need to know in life. It's just not going to happen. There's no curriculum, no teacher that's going to teach your child every historical fact or everything about math, everything about science. There's just no way that that's going to happen. There will be gaps no matter how or where your child is educated, and that's okay too. In fact, the main thing that we really want to teach our kids during school, yes, we want them to have information, We want them to have knowledge, but the most important thing is to teach your child how to learn and to teach your child to enjoy learning, because there will always be things that your children, when they grow up and they are adults, there will be things they need to know how to do. There will be information they need that they don't already have. But if you've taught them to enjoy learning, and if you've taught them to continue learning, they'll be able to handle those things with no problem. And our fifth don't feel like you must do school the way they do it at public or private schools. Yes, it's true as homeschoolers. Sorry, my daughter's coughing there in the background. If we have interruptions in our homeschool days, that's normal. That's life. My husband works in an office. He gets interrupted all the time. That's part of what he has to learn to deal with. And your kids will be the same way. When they grow up and when they have jobs or when they are parents themselves, they've got to learn how to handle whatever the task is that they're working on, and to be interrupted sometimes. It'll happen. So sometimes we feel like we've got to get every subject finished every day. We feel like that we're failures if we don't get everything that's set on the lesson plan, or even in your head, just the ideas of what you want to get done every day. Then we feel like we've failed, and it's just not true. Our kids need to learn to adapt. They need to learn to carry on when the schedule changes, or when they're interrupted, or when things happen. And that's actually a life skill that they really will need as adults. So consider that you're doing your child a favor by teaching him or her to deal with those things right now, because it really is true. That's really something every single person will need to be able to handle forever in adulthood. So now we'll move on to some do's. The first one is, do give yourself credit for what you're doing well and for what your child is doing well. Pat yourself on the back if you feel like you're doing a good job. If you don't feel like you're doing such a great job, give yourself some grace. Think about how you can improve and work toward it. But don't get so down on yourself that you can't enjoy what you're doing, that you can't enjoy your homeschool, that your child can't enjoy time with you. And then make sure that that you don't let that just encourage you and drag you down and cause you to feel like your homeschool is not successful or that sort of thing. There's always room for improvement, no matter how great you do, no matter how great your homeschool is running. There's always room for improvement, and that's fine. But think about the things you're doing well and be thankful and grateful for those, and then work toward improving the things that maybe need a little bit of improvement without being discouraged and down on yourself about it. Our next do is do spend time having fun with your children. One of the best things you can do to help your homeschool run smoothly is to have a positive relationship with your children. Not only can you then enjoy spending time together a lot more than you would if you really didn't enjoy each other's company, but when you're doing schoolwork together, it'll just be so much more fun. Your kids will care more about what you think. They'll care more about pleasing you. They'll care more about whatever it is that you're asking or telling them to do. Because if you have that positive relationship, if you're able to laugh together, if you're able to have fun together, even take days off where you don't do school at all, where you just maybe play some educational games, where you take the day off and just go to the park, where you go on field trips. Some of these things can count as school days and some may not, but if you're doing something educational together, count it as a school day. That's fine. And you'll find that building a positive relationship with your children will not only affect your family personally in a really good way, but it will also affect your homeschool in a really good way. Do tell your children what they do well. Just like you need to pat yourself on the back when you're doing something well, we need to tell our children when they're doing things well too. Our kids want to feel successful, and if they only hear from us when they mess up, if they only hear from us when they make mistakes or when they're not doing something well, then they'll start to associate some very negative feelings toward homeschooling, and we don't want that. We want them to feel successful. Now, that doesn't mean brag on your child and tell him how smart he is or how smart she is. If that child is really being lazy and not working very hard. But if you have a child who is making improvements in math. No, maybe she's not making straight A's in math, but maybe she's making improvements. Then emphasize her hard work and emphasize the improvements that she's made, and she'll want to work so much harder to continue improving and to continue doing a good job. If you have a son who maybe is lazy and isn't wanting to work real hard and follow through on his schoolwork and those kinds of things, if you emphasize truthfully when he does do a good job, then hopefully that will encourage him to want to do a good job more often. I found with my own kids that that's a big deal. If I get on to them when they do things wrong, and that's sometimes necessary, then hopefully they'll improve. But when I really try to just be thankful and grateful and to encourage them when they do things well, then I've found that most of the time they really do want to continue making me happy, and they really do want to continue getting that approval. Do take a day off. Everybody needs a break sometimes. Don't feel like you just have to work from the minute you wake up until the minute you go to bed. Everybody needs some time to visit. Everybody needs some time to have fun. If it's a super nice day and you decide to take the day off and have a picnic or go to the zoo or take an impromptu field trip or whatever it is, depending on the time of year, then do those things. If you've decided to do an educational activity like going to the zoo, then that can count as a school day. If you decide to play at the park and just completely take the day off and don't even worry about trying to make it educational, then that's okay. That's all right. It's important. Mental health is important too. And you might be able to do a zoo scavenger hunt or something like that and turn that into an educational opportunity as well. But even if you decide not to do that and just take a day off, that's super, super important. One of the things that I like to do along those lines is I really prefer to homeschool year round. We've done it for the last several years because that allows me to have a much more flexible schedule all year long. We do have some articles on that topic, and I'll share articles and some other relevant links in this article that where this video will go. So be sure to take a look at those and you'll get some tips and information about doing that. And then finally, do make your husband a part of your homeschool if you can. It's or a grandparent or a next door neighbor or a friend or whoever it is. Kids enjoy sharing what they're doing. If you've been working on memorizing math facts, or if you enjoy memorizing poetry, if your child has learned all the states and capitals or whatever it is, then try if you can to make opportunities to share that with somebody that your kids love and care about. It gives them kind of a way to show off what they're learning, and then it can give another parent or grandparent a chance to kind of share in what your kids are learning. So it's kind of a win-win situation there. At the bottom of this article, we've got some other information that you might be interested in. We've got some about transitioning from public school to homeschool. If that's your situation, we've got some free curriculum planning resources. We've got information about how to start homeschooling. If you're not already a homeschooler, but you're considering it, then we've got some information there. We've got information if you're already homeschooling and you feel burned out about how to handle that. And on another site, our sister site called Only Passionate Curiosity, we have some information. It's called the Homeschool Scheduling 101 series. And that's a really good series. It talks about planning your school year and kind of breaks things down into steps. It talks about planning your week. So after you've got your year planned, it breaks it down even farther into how to plan your school week. There's information about keeping your kids on track as far as when they're working each day. There's information about budgeting. There's all sorts of really good information, whether you already homeschool or if you're considering or are a new homeschooler. So hop on over to onlypassionatecuriosity.com. I'll list those links at the bottom of this article too. And we really do hope those are helpful for you. We hope this information is helpful and really encourages you and your children, and that you have a fantastic school year. And please do always feel free to email us at info@hiphomeschoolmoms.com. You can just drop us a little email and let us know if you'd like to be added to our email list. And you'll get information when we send out new articles. You'll get information when we publish new freebies and printables on our Only Passionate Curiosity site, all kinds of good stuff. So we'd love to hear from you anyway, just anytime. And if you'd like to be added to that email list, be sure to let us know that too. Just put it in the subject line, add me to your email list, or whatever it is that you would like to tell us or want us to try to help you with. So I hope you've enjoyed just the tips in this video, and we sure would like to hear from you. And thanks. Hope you have a great school year.